So let's open the meeting today, January 15th, 2024, the first meeting of the year. Any declaration of pecuniary interest? Councillor Despatie?
None.
No delegations, no public meeting, discussions arising from previous council minutes. I actually have something that we need to bring up. I need to bring up. So I think everyone probably remembers the bylaw to adopt a rental policy for the rink shack. It was in the minutes, so it was in November, number 2023-13-292, but we were talking about renting the rink shack. In the November meeting, we approved doing that, but in December, when we went to formalize the bylaw, it was voted down. So this is actually in violation of our procedural bylaw. So if council had wanted to reconsider it, that's how we should have, actually what should have happened was Trevor or I should have called a point of order. We didn't do that. We didn't understand it. We thought it was all unusual. So the reality is when we first talk about an issue and when we first vote on it, that's when the decision is made. And then when to make a bylaw, that's kind of a formalization of it. Is this making sense to everyone?
Yeah, I read it.
Yeah. So we don't need to re-examine the issue at all. I think it was a small matter. I'm worried that council, when we initially discuss it, maybe we haven't thoroughly discussed it initially, or there's some miscommunication, or somebody needs clarification. So I would just encourage you in the future when we're having that initial vote, or even if you want to say, I don't think we've discussed it enough. But once we do that vote on something, that's really when the decision is made. I'm just making sure. We've spoken to the integrity commissioner about it to make sure that we were on the right path. And then really ultimately the issue is if we've directed Belinda, let's say, to look into a matter, or we've voted that we're proceeding with a matter, and then we're trying not to proceed with it, we're basically wasting time from our CAO and really resources and money, right? Does that make sense to everybody? So when we have that first initial vote, that's really when the decision is made. And if you're not comfortable voting at that time, please speak up, or if you have more questions, or. Does anyone have any questions about this now?
The only thing concern I had when you're talking about that, we had not set any fees. At the
I don't
initial,
remember.
at the initial vote, no.
Well, when it came through the second, okay, yeah, nothing came. Do you remember that? Did we have
Yeah.
fees set the
There
first
was a
time?
full policy ready to go that council had directed me to prepare the bylaw to enact it at the next meeting. That's what the minutes said.
I think going forward in the future, I think it might be a little extra work for Belinda, but if we're going to vote on something, we're gonna try to have the bylaw ready immediately, so we don't have to wait the month, right? So then it's not confusing, you know, we voted on it, whatever the majority is, and then it's a bylaw and it's done. Does that make sense?
Well, I thought that's what we did. We discussed it and voted on it.
Well, we all voted to support it in the November meeting, but then when we went to do the formal bylaw, that's when the votes changed. But really, that bylaw vote is just a formality, like you've already made the decision initially.
So I think we have to do more discussions before we move forward. You know, because if there's concerns, then we gotta deal with them, right? If there's no concern. Once we enact the November meeting to say, hey, yeah, let's do this. Then we're tying up CEO Kutchabaw's time to get everything ready, then we vote it down. Then what a waste of taxpayer time and energy and money. And if we don't know what we're doing, say we'll push it off from them.
Yeah.
You know, like if there's a concern, I don't remember, to be honest,
I don't think we.
but if we didn't have,
discussed
if we
it too
didn't,
much.
I don't think so either, but if we didn't have a value, and I honestly don't know if we did or not, like off the top of my head, but if we didn't, you know, if.
I don't remember having values on
Yeah.
anything.
Did you want to say anything, CEO Kutchabah?
Yeah, yes, through you, Madam Mayor. Just if anyone has any questions, call me. My door's always open. Sometimes I'm in a meeting, but I'll get back to you. So if there's any like concerns, so if you had some concerns about certain clauses that I had in a policy, like, feel free to ask.
No,
I'm not
just
scary.
just saying after the first meeting, we couldn't question you or question it because it was already passed.
Yeah,
But we could have put the vote
we
off.
could have, like deferred the decision.
Yeah, if we were unsure. I mean, I don't, I think our integrity commissioner originally said, there's always a reason to put everything off another month. We don't want to get into that habit. But I think we've been really good at making decisions pretty timely. So I think if you feel discussion is needed, then let's discuss it. And, you're welcome to speak to CAO Kutchabah anytime. As I understand it from our integrity commissioner, we can't all discuss it outside of the meeting. We can only discuss it here. So it's not like we can all coordinate beforehand, thoroughly discuss. And there's nothing wrong with coming to the meeting and talking about it. So.
So, yeah, through you, Madam Mayor, I just want to highlight that there was a few little mistakes in the minutes that we originally circulated with the original agenda. There was what was the name that we had? Wayne McGregor was
If
put
you read
in.
the minutes, he seconded most of some of it.
Oh, yeah, I just seen Wayne and kept going, I never looked at the last.
I didn't
I
notice.
put two and two together, I guess. Yeah, it's seven.
Well, your brain sees what you want to see, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes, so they have been corrected. We apologize to Councillor Austin for those
Don't make fun
mistakes.
of McGregor, right?
Yeah,
So that's the next thing. We have the approval of council minutes. So moved by Councillor Austin, second by Councillor McVeigh, resolution 2024-1, be it resolved that the following council minutes be accepted as presented. Regular council meeting minutes, December 11th, 2023, council or closed session meeting minutes, December 11th, 2023. All in favor? Councillor Despatie?
In favor.
Can you move up this?
Oh, that's fine. That's carried. Then we have minutes and reports.
To accept them.
Moved by Councillor McVeigh, seconded by Councillor Austin. Be it resolved that minutes and reports, items 7, 8, and F are noted as received. All in favor? Carried.
Okay, so then the next one is to discuss the water budget.
Oh, boy.
So we
Okay,
don't need to make a decision at this meeting. It's just more for discussion. We'll have to schedule a public meeting in order to pass
to
it.
make the
Yes.
decision. Okay. So does anyone want to open the discussion on the water budget? Which last year, we did have to raise it to cover basic costs. Just for anyone watching the recording, only tax money received from people that use the water can be used in the water budget, and we can't make money from the water budget. It has to, but we want to be able to cover the costs and have some reserves.
Yeah, we can put money in reserve.
Yeah,
We can't put it somewhere else.
that's correct. Just the water money goes to water. So Counselor Austin, do you want to start off with your feelings about that?
Well, it's the same everywhere. The prices are going up and we have to have reserves.
Yeah,
I see the recommendation that was 5%.
Counselor-
Unfortunately, that's right.
the,
I think we have to do what we follow what our staff is saying. And
Counselor McDonald, what's your feeling?
Well, I feel the same way, you know, like, we gotta pay the bills and, that's the only source we got for the water is the water bills, so. And, if there's other ways we can save money on the water plant, well, we should look at, or have Aquil tell us, you know, there's the things that we can do differently to save money, but price of everything goes up.
Counselor Despatie?
Yes, we have to maintain a safe source of water for our taxpayers. And unfortunately, they have to bear the brunt of paying the taxes. So we have a responsibility to them to provide them with safe water. So we got to pay.
Hey, Counselor, Trevor?
I agree. I don't think there wasn't much of a savings if we went to the 3% anyways, that Belinda and Councilor CHO. Ketchba and I spoke, and it's like $2,000 or something, like if you went to 3% versus 5%, and you're putting no money in reserves. You have to
Very
put
little,
something,
yeah.
because this is a very expensive endeavor we're going into, and anybody that went to the water treatment plant when we did our thing, you see that place, all the computer equipment, everything is just rusting. Just because of the moisture and whatever, it's above my pay grade, so I don't know exactly, but it definitely needs HVAC system and some other stuff to keep it, so I don't see, we have to do it, and we need to put some money in reserves, because we owe that to the community to keep that running.
I think we might be confusing the HVAC grant and replacement with just water budget, or are they that tied together?
They're tied together somewhat. We did receive, quite a substantial grant to proceed with the, HVAC and some of the component replacements. We received.
But that grant and everything still comes out of the water budget. Like the water budget still covers all that stuff, and we were just lucky to get a grant
There
to
were, yeah,
offset that.
yes,
So
yes.
if you don't do anything, if we didn't get the grant, we would still have to be, we still have to do something at some
Yeah,
point.
and we'd be funding it 100%.
Yeah,
with the
exactly.
grants.
I'm just saying, right now, funding at 100%, and we have very little reserves, or the reserves are okay for right now, but if you keep pulling from reserves, you're gonna have no reserves.
things break unfortunately.
Yeah.
And
They wear out.
we got to keep up with it.
I saw in the past where we used all the reserves up and down and figured nothing.
Yeah,
And then we had to build it back up again. That's when we start raising the water bill. Even every year, the cost of living goes up, so cost of running that water treatment plant goes up.
that's right. I'm in favor of the 5%, like
I was actually leaning towards lower, but it sounds like the four of you are all agreed. So at 5%, it would be right around $48 to $50 a year increase per resident. That's right.
And a 3%.
Per residential house, yeah.
Not, there's very little difference.
from $8 to $12, or
Yeah.
$12 to $8.
Well, 7, you would be at 28, right?
So I'm just doing the math in my head right here.
28 to 50. So that's not half of it, but somewhat close. So we have to have a public meeting to make this decision. So can we do that at our February council meeting?
So that would be. February 12th.
And Counselor Austin, we talked about, you know, we were trying to avoid the retroactive water bill raise,
Yeah.
and so if we do it in February, it shouldn't be as
Then it's in there at the
difficult.
start of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I'd like to see, because if we throw that on them at 3/4 of the way through the year, then everybody's,
yeah, yeah. Okay, moved by Counselor Austin, second by Counselor McVeigh, whereas Council has received the CAO's report 2024-1 for information. And be it resolved that council has reviewed the draft 2024 waterworks budget options as attached to this report, and further that council will schedule a public meeting on February 12th, 2024, for which notice will be duly given, and council will then approve the 2024 waterworks rates to be enacted retroactive to January 1st, 2024. All in favor?
In favor.
That's carried.
Just for the update and then.
Moved by Counselor McVeigh, seconded by Counselor Austin, be it resolved that council has received the CAO's report 2024-2 that provide an update regarding the water treatment plant rehabilitation project for information. All in favor? Carried.
And if anyone has any questions.
Right, so does anyone have any questions about the rehabilitation of the water treatment plant, and maybe questions about the finances behind it?
there's an awful lot of numbers in there, and I looked at, and I said, there's no sense me questioning it, because
That's what I figured too.
Do you want to?
I don't know what the,
It makes sense to me, but I also talked about it with CAO. Do you want to
Yeah,
just
I can do
summarize?
a quick summary,
Yeah.
absolutely. So we actually got this grant back in 2022, I believe, and it was an infrastructure investing in Canada program. So that's the same program that we received the grant funding for Nairn Road, just a different stream. So the way this grant works is we have to bear the cost, and then I submit the invoices once we paid them, and then we're refunded whatever the amount is that they've agreed to fund. So the federal government is contributing 40% of in eligible costs to a maximum 171,000 and change. And the Ontario government's contributing 33.33% up to a maximum of 142,000 and change. So the township is responsible for 26.67% of the total cost. So we've had the Aqua has been working together with engineers and design team. And they believe that when we initially estimated this project, we had estimated at $427,800. And they're confident that we can complete it still within that that budgeted amount. So if it does come in at the full amount, our share of that project would be $114,000. So that's why there's some concerns about pulling from reserves, and then there's obviously concerns about getting that money back in there. So obviously we're not going to be able to do it in just a few years, but if we eventually get money going back into that reserve, it'll get back up into a healthy range, because unfortunately that plant's getting old. It was built, what, 94, 95?
Somewhere else.
And a lot of the components are getting old, and just the wear and tear from, I've gone in there some days and it's like a sauna in there. There's so much humidity in that building. So I feel it's really important to get this project as a big, like, our #1 priority this year, because just to replace one of those computers, which we just did last year, is $12,000. So
yeah,
it's important, like those type of components do not like moisture.
So our reserves were 209.
Yeah.
But instead of the 114, we have some extra components that we have to maintain as
So
well.
there's general maintenance that has to be done every year. The main distribution pipes have to be swabbed So we're trying to do a quarter of our distribution every year, so they can get done once every 4 to 5 years. That's what we're recommending. And just some of the well needs to be inspected unfortunately this year, which is mandated. There's a few other things that are mandated that unfortunately we just have to take care of there. So that's our miscellaneous capital expenses. And so that's what we budgeted. Doesn't always mean we have to do all of them, but we're ready if a component fails. So
So we're not necessarily doing.
not necessarily pulling
Okay.
that full amount from reserves. That's the worst case scenario.
Okay, so that would leave us with 66,000 in water reserves. At worst case scenario. So that's not horrible
Yeah.
considering we're doing a big project.
And then if we do the 5% increase, 6,500 will go back in to reserves. So that would bring us up to 72.
Worst case,
72,000.
it could be more.
Yeah, it might not be that much, but unfortunately, till the tenders come in, which we're hoping in the next 2 months, we'll have a better idea.
That's progress.
I see our inspection was excellent,
Yep,
which is good that when we're looking at the government checking us.
yeah.
Yeah, and they check everything.
We don't wanna get in the newspaper like Washington or something.
No,
No,
that
that's
is not optimal.
We all learn a lesson with that.
So do we need a motion for the
No.
water treatment plant?
No, that project was approved already, so
Right, okay.
it's just giving an update.
Okay, so next we have municipal conferences coming up this year.
Yeah.
For discussion, so there was a big list of potential conferences. Does anyone want to start off that discussion?
Where is that conference? That in Ottawa? Did I read that right?
They're all over the place.
Yeah, AMO, is it AMO?
Yeah.
Is in Ottawa in August, and that's for the province of Ontario. Phonom, which is Northern Ontario, is in Sudbury this year, so it would save us a bunch of money and that we wouldn't be paying for a hotel somewhere. CAO Ketchiba has some good clerk treasurer conferences that really benefit her. I'm interested definitely in Phonom, that's Northern Ontario, that's in Sudbury. And I could be interested in going to AMO in Ottawa at the end of August. Yeah, and then there's also Roma, which is rural Ontario in January, so next January.
I just agree with sending you the,
You disagree with it because of the expense?
it's expensive. We're a small community. Government's going to control us one way or the other. And for sending out our staff and the counselors to other parts of the country that nothing changed here and there very often. But I mean, we're only a small community. Now I can see the city of Sudbury, even that's small, they're big, but nothing changes much in there. We camp up, we got a council for it. And it's something that we need effort to help, or we ask for. But to send the mayor to Ottawa, I don't think it's necessary.
Well, the conferences, people come and do presentations, so there will be different ministers. It's the AMO where you can actually, so if we had a certain agenda, let's say with housing, and we wanted, let's say, to be able to get a hold of property, then we would try to talk to the minister who was over, I don't know.
Could be the Minister of Municipal Affairs.
Yeah. So you can get appointments with ministers, then you have people that come and present things on different things, whether it could be libraries or trails through your town or just anything, playgrounds. And then I think you also make connections with I especially liked in, Phonom, where we seem to kind of, get some camaraderie with similar sized communities. You're right, Nairn is not Espanola. But there are other communities our size that deal with very similar issues. And everybody kind of tends to do things or they try different things. So it's interesting to see what they do. What do you think, Counselor Austin?
Oh, I'm in favor of going to our local meetings when we're starting to go far away where the expenses are high. So I understand we should be sending our CAO because she has to really keep up with this stuff. And she's gonna be here in 3 years. We don't know if any of us will be here in 3 years. And then it's a lot of expenses to put out for what we're doing.
Counselor Despatie?
Are you there, Guy?
Oh, yeah, I'm here. I was just listening to everything that's going on. I tend to agree with Councillor Austin. As a council, we may or may not be here for very long. So that extra training may not be necessary. I do agree that our CAO has to go because she's going to be around quite a bit longer. That's all I'd have to say.
Counselor McVeigh?
Well, I kind of agree with Counselor Austin. I think we could, as long as we can find meetings close and stuff like that, because the cost to go to Toronto now, hotel rooms are off the chart. Ottawa's not much better. You know, and I get the whole networking thing. It's what I do for a living is network, shake hands and kiss babies. So, you know, it does prevail, but here we are hitting everybody with extra, you know, 9% increase in taxes, 5% on water. We have to watch our spending. We do ourselves.
All right,
I've been, I've been to a couple of those conferences. Sure, you learn a lot. And I learned more by talking to the mayor in Espanola privately, you know, like that. When there's intermission, that's when I talk to people. That's when you see what other communities are doing, eh? But to go away, I was in Timmins for 3 days, and what I learned there wasn't that much, you know. Sure, they get up, the politicians there from Ottawa or Toronto there, they get up and they have a speech and, you know, like we see that on TV. We don't need to go to all these places. I don't think for a small community like this. Sure, I enjoyed going there. It was 3 days, it was 10 minutes. But I mean, I don't think I learned, and I was a new councilman. I didn't learn that much different, you know. I learned more by, you know, reading the Ministry Act, anything else, but it was nice talking to the other politicians, like a mayor from Sturgeon Falls or the East Community, what their problems were and that, but it just was 3 days of I enjoyed it, but I didn't get that much out of it, to tell you the truth.
I think to really use them to our advantage, I think we would have to have already decided what our agenda is. You know, whether we were looking for property to develop or we needed help with maintaining our buildings that we already have or whatever, or it could be talking to the Ministry of Transportation about the highway, or you know, it could be any one of our issues. I think that's how you take the best advantage, that you say these are our 2 issues that we want to talk about. Who can I find to talk about it? But I think we've come to a decision. Moved by Councillor Austin, seconded by Councillor McVeigh, whereas council has received report 2024-3 for information, and be it resolved that council directs the CAO will attend the AMCTO annual conference, Zone 7, semi-annual clerk's treasurer seminar to receive training each year, and further that council directs that, that for 2024.
Yes, so you had mentioned, that perhaps we could go to Phenom since it's in Sudbury, there'd be no travel costs. Is that something maybe council could discuss if they wanted us to attend that one?
I have no problem with that one. It's right here. And
Yeah,
that's
that's-
great networking. I think that's the whole key. You know? Like that's right here. I have no problem.
So
with that.
generally speaking, are we agreed that Phonom and Sudbury is fine to attend?
I agree with that one.
I just, under options here, we got something where, the CAO attend on a yearly basis. I would approve for next year or for the next conference, but I don't wanna
No,
put steady that she can go all the time, or we don't know what things are gonna change, and
okay, so
that's
like just for
putting
this year,
something on the next council again. Approving it
Well,
before
they
they.
could,
I
they
just
could,
were
they
for-
could amend that,
So
right? If they
Well,
wanted
they
to.
could, yeah.
2024.
I
But
think
if
there's
it-
so much to learn for her.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like,
Belinda, yeah,
it's
I-
every year she loses out being with other CEOs, I think is a huge mistake on our behalf. Because we don't know what we're losing.
But we
That
could
way.
just say it's for 2024. Do you want it for, so for the Belinda AMCTO, the clerk treasurer conference? Do you want to just do it for 2024 or do you want
No, leave it on a yearly basis, so I agree with Trevor on what he
to
said.
generally each year?
I just get concerned when we put something. That's
For
there.
somebody in her position, I think. that,
Yeah, she needs it.
it's very.
Yeah, and again, you're
It's
doing the
informative,
networking,
yeah.
you're gonna get other CEOs, you're gonna find out stuff.
Yeah.
Councilor McVeigh's gonna come up with something, not so, some harebrained, let's say. And you'll be able to say, no, you can't do this, because this, or I know somebody that, you know.
Can help us with that.
And I think council moving forward, you'll also see it in budget too, right?
Yeah.
So we should notice it then if there's an issue. So is everyone fine with Phonom in Sudbury for CAO Ketchabah and myself?
I am, okay,
Well, we're not voting yet.
oh, sorry.
But not AMO in Ottawa. And Roma, I don't even know where that is.
Well, we already declined going to that one
That's
this
this
year,
year.
but maybe it's a discussion we can have closer
For
to the
next
end of the year.
That's rural Ontario. I would be worried that it would be somewhat agricultural, which is not us. Anyway,
It could be,
Find that.
I don't know, I've
more
never been.
Southern Ontario than it is.
yeah, it's hard to know.
Northern.
It's hard to know. Okay. So moved by Counselor Austin, seconded by Counselor McVeigh, whereas council's received report 2024-3 for information. And be it resolved that council directs that the CAO will attend the AMCTO annual conference and Zone 7 semi-annual clerks treasurer seminar to receive training each year. And further that council directs that for 2024, staff and or council members may attend the following municipal conferences. Phonom in Sudbury, all in favor?
In favor.
That's carried.
Accept rec minutes.
So moved by Counselor McVeigh, seconded by Counselor Austin, resolved that council accepts the following minutes as presented: Community Parks and Recreation Committee minutes, December 14th, 2023, and Community Parks and Recreation Committee minutes, January 4th, 2024. All in favor?
In favor.
That's carried.
And this is to, see if we're gonna follow through with the recommendations on the integrity commissioner.
So we've all seen the official report from the Integrity Commissioner, and the real discussion is that in his recommendations, he suggests additional training. So that's what we would need to vote on if we would want to pursue additional training from the Integrity Commissioner. How do you feel about that?
I'm not sure what training they want to add on to what we've taken. It's fine to say you're gonna go for training, but what training are you? What are we actually getting into?
Well, we did just have an issue where the Integrity Commissioner stepped in.
Yeah.
It might be to deal with that, or
Well, they
I
found
kind of
out-
had the same concerns with what would the training be beyond, was kind of I had the same feeling, like there's no specification, I don't think, to say what, is it gonna be on what he was brought in for a couple months back, or is it on? Like, I didn't see anywhere where it gave
Seeing
specifics to what it was gonna
testimony,
do.
You've spoken with, it, like, what would he recommend, or I'm sure he could train us on anything, but.
He had mentioned just, it seemed like there was perhaps some differing views or confusion about council and its role when it deals with staff or staff decisions. So he had mentioned on the very last page of the report that perhaps there could be some further training on staff council relations, and it would include some question and answer periods that if anyone's confused about something or needs clarification or doesn't really understand perhaps why he ruled the way he did, that would be a good time to have some back and forth question and answers, but of course, it's council's decision.
Counselor McVeigh,
What would you have any idea what the training costs? Like,
I believe when I had him in to do the initial council training, it was approximately $800. And then he had mentioned, doing it in conjunction with Baldwin as well, which would be a cost saving, we could split it. So that's an option if council's interested.
Are we,
So, Madam Chair, if I may make a comment.
go ahead.
So I'm the one that initiated this integrity commissioner investigation. And I did so price of the training that I received from indication was quite explicit that council had no business conducting the day-to-day business of the town. It turns out that there are some instances where council may intervene in conducting the day-to-day business. So, in my opinion, this integrity commissioner.
Counselor, we're not here to review the integrity commissioner report. Just we're discussing about moving further with training.
And if you give me a few minutes, I'll get to that. So in my opinion, his training was at best inadequate, and I would not be participating in any further training this particular integrity. That's my comment.
You were going in and out, but I think what you said is you would not participate in any training provided by this integrity commissioner.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, so Counselor McVeigh, your question is, what would it be on? I think cost, if we're splitting it with Baldwin, would be very minimal. It would almost be more our time would be the issue. Counselor McDonald, did you speak on this?
I can speak out of that. I don't think you agree with me, but integrity commissioner, ever since the government that we had to have integrity commissioner, we spent thousands of dollars. Now, I was one that was accused of something, and it cost the town $30,000 just for an investigation. I think I could maybe be wrong, but it'd be around $30,000 for two of us. And to me, if we can sit down at the table and discuss our own problems without having somebody from Toronto or someone telling us what to do. This is our community, and we're elected by the people of the town. We don't, and to me, the integrity commissioner, just all this, since they come, it just costs us thousands of dollars. You know, I don't understand the cost for a small community like this here, when there was only two counselors that did wrong, or they said they did wrong. It costs around $30,000. That's not fair to the taxpayers. The taxpayers, if I'm wrong, they got the right at the end of it, when the next election, they don't have to elect me. I don't need the integrity commissioner telling me how to run this town. We know how to run the town, like the counselors sitting at this table right now. We know the town. We know what we need and I think we get along fine. We don't argue I argue issues, but I don't argue in a mean thing. But if I'm wrong, I don't mind the council telling me, hey, Mr. McDonald, Council McDonald, you're rude or anything like that. But I mean, to spend thousands of dollars on integrity commissioner, I don't see it myself.
I think we're talking about two different things. So training would be pretty minimal cost. We're talking about $400, and actually, I believe it may prevent incidents that cost us tens of thousands of dollars, because I think the cost was even higher than what you estimate. But yeah, I think there's value in it. I don't think he's telling us what to do. I think I see it as he's telling us the rules. He's telling us how to navigate through a system that's been developed so that it can be fair and clear. Councilor, CEO Ketchba, do you have anything to add?
No, I feel we've covered.
You know,
Yes, it did.
And I just want you to understand what I'm saying, that, you know, this is what the council's here for. We're here to discuss the town business.
But we have to follow order too.
Yeah.
We still have to follow what the.
I have been on council for 20 years, Mr. Council.
Yeah.
And I've been appropriate. I speak my mind. I got in trouble for it. It wasn't rude. It wasn't, to me, it was a kangaroo court or something, you know, what they charged me with. But I mean, I never cursed nobody. I didn't argue with them. I argued with the issues, but you know, and if I say something like the last one meeting there, I was charged for saying something that wasn't on the agenda. Well, to me, that's pity.
Well, I mean, you may feel that they were minor. To me, we had some issues with previous council. I mean, we had the integrity commissioner here a few times. But I think if council feels like they don't, I would be willing to do more training, but let's just vote on it and we'll live with it.
Oh, can
I'd just like to make one final comment, Madam Chair.
Sure, Councilor Despatie.
In my opinion, I don't feel that this particular integrity commissioner could assist any of us in any productive way. In my opinion, training was inadequate, and to have more of it would be useless. Next time, when I have an issue, I intend to contact the person on council personally and rectify it internally. Thank you.
I mean, another thing, Councilor Despatie, if we do have issues and we feel that someone possibly could be doing, but we're unsure, we can call and ask the integrity commissioner as well. He may bill us for that, he may not. Right? Like, so we can seek clarification individually. Does that make sense to everybody?
So you
Yes.
could, okay, it's clear as mud for me, so give me 2 seconds.
So if Trevor McVeigh is doing something and I think it is wrong, and I completely disagree, and I've spoken to Trevor McVeigh, I've resolved it, I can call up the integrity commissioner and say, this is what's happening, is this appropriate? And he will say, oh, that sounds funny, or no, it's fine, right?
Well, we have to do an investigation.
He might say an investigation, you're right,
And then that's when.
it costs us
Okay.
money,
Yeah,
but I
don't have a
mean,
Problem with that, because if you've got questions, and I'll pick on you because you picked on me. Like, the same way, right? I can say, look at, the mayor has done this. And they go, no, there's no issue with that. You know, or maybe then you go, okay, well, then you have to walk away from it, right? I guess if you call for an investigation, even that minor one that we just had, I'm not downplaying it all. Counselor Deputy thought there was an issue and went ahead with it. Like, what does that cost us? That's not free either, right? When you do an
No.
Investigation. So $400 training might save a $2,000 bill
or,
or $30,000.
yeah, we've seen a lot more than 2,000, but I think, I feel if council feels that way, that's fine.
I feel that, you know, we respect one another, that's all we gotta do, and discuss things, debate things at a council meeting. That's what council are here for, is to debate things, eh? Sure, we make mistakes, but I mean, the mistakes are as very, you know, very small sometimes. You know, but I never rude to other counselors or to the staff or anything. I discuss things with them. And that's what the councils are for, to sit in a council meeting and discuss it. The problems.
I'm gonna ask for a recorded vote. So moved by Counselor Austin, seconded by Trevor McVeigh, whereas council has received the following report from the Office of the Integrity Commissioner at the December 2023 council meeting, and whereas the report contained recommendations that council members receive additional training regarding the code of conduct and staff council relations policies. And therefore be it resolved that council directs the CAO to schedule this enhanced training in 2024. So that's positive. If you don't want the training, you would say no. So I've
I
asked,
don't know if this is a point of order or what, but we're saying training and we don't know what training. We don't know how long. You're asking for, is it 8 hours, is it 4 hours, is it 2 days?
I think it could be what we want. I don't think we're talking about a week. I think, CAO Ketchaba, I think we're talking about a day or two at the most.
I would imagine that it would be kind of like what we received before, like a kind of a 4-hour training session.
Well, that's my point. If it's 4 hours, fine, but if we're gonna go for,
But you could direct that it would only be a, you know, a half-day training session or.
in my opinion, we've done a lot of this training. Well, it's up to you whether it's right or wrong. If you go wrong, then you're in trouble. But if you're right, you're okay. Like if I don't declare, for example, a conflict of interest, I can be in trouble. Or a pecuniary interest.
Right.
But it's my decision. But then somebody complains and I'm in the wrong.
Right. But if there wasn't a problem with it and they complained,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be in trouble.
No, but then we're gonna go through a whole.
Yeah, you do have, you're right, you're right. Okay, so now you are fine with 4 hours. I'm fine with 4 hours. Anyone else for 4 hours? Okay. To schedule this enhanced training in 2024, totaling 4 hours of training. Yeah, totaling 4 hours. All right, moved by Counselor Austin, seconded by Trevor McVeigh, whereas council has received the following report from the Office of the Integrity Commissioner at the December 2023 council meeting. And whereas the report contained recommendations that council members receive additional training regarding the code of conduct and staff council relation policies. And therefore be it resolved that council directs the CAO to schedule this enhanced training in 2024, totaling 4 hours. I've still asked for the recorded vote. I'm for it. Counselor McVeigh. Counselor Austin.
Yes.
Counselor Despetit.
Nope.
Against Counselor McDonald.
No,
That is carried.
Next one is just to accept the superintendent's report.
Moved by Counselor McVeigh, seconded by Counselor Austin, whereas council accepts the municipal superintendent's report as presented. All in favor?
In favor.
Okay.
No correspondence. Then we have a motion about cemetery management support request. What does Counselor Despetit, what did you feel about that?
I think we should support that.
Counselor McVeigh?
Yes.
All right, okay, moved by Counselor Austin, second by Counselor McVeigh. Be it resolved that council supports the resolution from Township calling upon the provincial government to provide financial assistance and support to municipalities regarding abandoned cemeteries and general administrative and maintenance assistance with municipally run cemeteries, and further that a copy of this resolution will be circulated to the Honorable Jim McCarthy, Ministry of Public and Business Service Delivery, Jim Casamati, BAO Interim CEO Registrar, and Township. All in favor? Was that affirmative from you, Counselor Despatie?
Don?
It might just be the one. Counselor Despatie?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it
So
is.
next, okay, yep, that's great. So it was carried. Any discussion on, the increasing the amounts for tax credits for volunteer firefighters? Counselor Austin, actually, do I need to declare a pecuniary interest with this?
Oh, that's a very good.
I didn't even
I
think
don't
about
think
that.
so, because they're doing it for across the province.
Yeah, it's
It's
not,
not really rough, and it's gonna be a tax credit. Right now, we're allowing $1,000 a year, and what do they wanna go to, 1,500,
10,000.
10,000? So the whole $3,000 or $2,000 we make a year would be credited, you know, like it's
Yeah.
not gonna be, it's not.
Yeah.
It's hard enough to find volunteers right now. Let's do
Right.
whatever we can do to get them, because,
yeah,
not because I'm on there. If we
It's not
have,
gonna
if
make
you want
any
us to,
change to the small.
it's not gonna affect us,
Outfits.
but if you want the two of us to step aside, step aside. I'm like, no, I don't care. That money doesn't make it right.
That's the province wide.
Yeah,
moved by Counselor McVeigh, seconded by Counselor Austin, be it resolved that council supports the resolution from Bonnfield Township calling upon the federal government to support Bill C-310 and enact the amendments to the Income Tax Act in order to increase the amount of the tax credits for volunteer firefighting and search and rescue volunteer services from 3,000 to 10,000. And further that a copy of this resolution will be circulated at the Association of Fire Chiefs of Ontario, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and Bonnfield Township. All in favor?
In favor.
I'd just like to know where they make 10,000 a year.
Well,
Sudbury.
I wonder, do we understand it
Yeah, but they're
correctly, or
volunteer.
is it?
Is it, they consider them part-time now? So they're not volunteering.
If
They're not volunteering.
No, they're part-time. They're on the payroll, they get a week.
So if
you
you
get
make over
weekly-
a certain amount, you're not volunteering.
Yeah, they get paid weekly off their system, and they're on a part-time employee,
Okay.
so it changes it right up, right?
So then we have our tax rate. This is a routine thing. Does anyone need to oh, no.
We got two more.
This is about
motion.
municipal insurance costs. I didn't notice this. Rising municipal insurance costs. Does anyone want to discuss it? Are you?
Well, we know everything is going up, and I had a question with Belinda about just before the meeting, discussing the insurance. And maybe our counselor can help us regarding the company's snowblowing for us. They won't snowplow anymore because their insurance won't cover it.
Yep.
So I asked Belinda if it's possible for us to get extra coverage to bring somebody in.
Municipal insurance, subcontracts, I don't.
So we're left. If we got a bad storm, we're left staying home. The insurance companies are killing us.
Yeah, that's the point of the motion.
Right.
Yeah.
So is everyone pretty much agreed that we would support, an action to reduce the unsustainable increases in municipal insurance? Well, okay, I'll move by Counselor Austin, second by Counselor McVeigh, be it resolved that council supports the resolution from the Township of Ashfordale, Norwood, calling for action to reduce the unsustainable increases to municipal insurance costs. And further, that a copy of this resolution will be circulated to the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, and the Township of Ashfordale, Norwood, all in favor? Did I see your hand?
In
Counselor?
favor.
All right, that's carried.
And Mark City of Sudbury.
So this is about the city of Sudbury, and how they were considered an employer even though they had a subcontractor. I don't actually like this situation. To me, I feel like this is a lot of legal, technical jargon, and yeah, I feel like there was a ruling for a reason, and I don't know. So how about you, Counselor Austin?
Well, reading it, they oversee the construction
Yeah, that's,
all the time, but any contractors we had here, we hire somebody to oversee the construction. So are we the employer? That's my question.
That's the question now,
Yeah.
with this ruling, who's the
Yeah.
employer?
well, to me, it was unclear. It sounded like the city of Greater Sudbury actually had someone on site of their,
They did.
right, so that would be like our town supervisor being on site to supervise something.
No, this is like, oh, take the example of the water. We hired someone to oversee the contractor doing the job.
But if-
Now they're all over town.
But if I read it correctly, it wasn't just that they hired someone, it was that they also had a city
They
employee.
had a couple of safety inspectors.
Yeah,
or
quality control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, it seems complicated.
It's more than what's written there.
Yeah,
I think the benefit is that this motion would make the Occupational Health and Safety Act define and put it in, clarify it.
Yeah, that's what you want.
That's what we want. We want it clarified,
Everything
because
is
to
clear.
me, now I'm kind of confused. If I send Derek to oversee,
No,
how
you're
Nairn Road is going, and there just happens to be an accident while he's on site. Well, according to this, we would be the employer.
Well, if there's an accident after he leaves us, he's been there.
yeah,
So
So we definitely need clarification.
I think that's the point, yeah.
That's the point of this, I think,
Yeah.
is to make it clear who is the employer.
Well, so we know what to do and what not to do.
Yeah.
You know, like we have
So
an engineer on
requesting-
site.
so what it says is requesting that the occupational health and safety clarify the definition of employer to exclude owners that have contracted with a constructor for a project.
If I may interdict,
Counselor Despatie?
yes, Madam Chair, through you, I think it would be only in our benefit if we supported this.
Counselor McDonald?
Yeah,
Counselor McVeigh?
Agree.
Like a disaster to me. Move, I talked to too many lawyers. Moved by Counselor McVeigh, seconded by Counselor Austin. Be it resolved that council supports the resolution from the Greater City of Sudbury requesting that the occupational health and safety clarify the definition of employer to exclude owners that have contracted with a constructor for a project, and further that a copy of this resolution will be circulated to the Honorable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, the Honorable David Piccini, Minister of Labor, Immigration, Training and Skills Development, the Honorable Paul Calandra, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, the Federation of Northern Municipalities, the Council of Ontario Construction Associations, and the Greater City of Sudbury. All in favor?
In favor?
Carried. Okay. Now on the bylaws. So this is, do you want to just explain this tax arrears?
Through you, Madam Chair, these are bylaws that we pass every year. The first bylaw just allows us to continue to charge a rate of interest on tax arrears from previous years. And then the next one would just allow us to, move ahead with doing interim tax levies in March, like we usually do. And that we would move forward in 2024 with the same arrears interest.
So any other questions or issues with the tax arrears?
I read it and I didn't understand. Being 1.25%,
Yeah, so 15% per annum, when you break it down.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But- I don't know if I read it right, you don't. Like, anywhere where you owe money, the interest compounds.
Yeah.
And that doesn't there?
Oh, yes, it compounds.
Oh, I thought it
Yes.
said it didn't, in the one.
Yeah, I thought I saw something like.
Oh,
that
yeah,
too.
actually, you're right. No interest.
It doesn't compound, and it didn't make sense to me, I didn't,
Do we want it to compound?
well, I thought it always
I
did, I
believe
thought
it,
that was.
I believe it does compound. But that's something I can clarify if you wanna defer the passing of that, I can clarify that next month.
If you would, I think we should.
I read it, and I guess I read what I wanted to read, because I read that it compounded, now that you said it and I read it wrong.
No.
If that makes sense to anybody else,
I didn't understand it.
because I thought too, everything's gonna
I'm
compound.
pretty sure it does
Yeah, you-
compound, that could be a
that's a deal.
typo.
If that's what you.
I can, I'd be happy to clarify
Okay.
that, so we can
We'll
defer
defer
it.
that.
Yes, you just
There's
have to, defer it, but
I'm sorry.
I just-
I asked-
I didn't say
It was good, because I read it and I just,
I
I
would say that we
assume-
would- you would read it and say
Okay.
that we've.
Well, I
agreed to
assumed it
defer
did, then I read it, and I said, well, that doesn't say that.
Defer till February.
Yeah,
It's only 1/4%.
Okay, so moved by Counselor McVeigh, seconded by Counselor Austin, be it resolved that being a bylaw to charge a rate of interest on tax arrears be read first, second, and third time. And deferred until February.
actually, we should reword that, I apologize.
Okay, sorry, I did skip through the bottom.
We read it first time and deferred.
Yeah.
I don't like to charge more interest, but if you owe the money, it's
We'll pay the monster.
the ones that are paying are the ones that get penalized.
Yeah.
First by Counselor McVeigh, seconded by Counselor Austin, be it resolved that being a bylaw to charge a rate of interest on tax arrears be read a first time. And defer to February. All in favor?
Good question.
Okay, so do we do 10B?
That one's okay.
Okay. Is this the motion?
Oh, sorry, yes.
Does anyone have any questions about 10B?
I'm not sure they're one the same, but it just.
Yeah, this sounds an awful lot like, what is the difference between this and the previous one?
That's a very good question. It doesn't say that no interest shall be compounded. So
Yeah.
Should we just put this?
we can defer this one as well if you want.
Yeah, we'll give you a chance to look it up.
Okay, so we're just gonna read it a first time.
First by Counselor McVeigh, seconded by Counselor Austin, be it resolved that being a bylaw to provide an interim tax levy. To provide for the payment of taxes and to provide for penalty and interest of 15% per annum be read a first time. And deferred until February 2024. All in favor? Always a few seconds later. And then, this is to accept our, waterworks, inspection report, which was flawless. Moved by Counselor McVeigh, seconded by Counselor Austin, be it resolved that council accepts for the information only agenda item 11A 2023 inspection report for the Nairn Center Waterworks as presented. All in favor? That's carried. We couldn't ask for a better report, and that takes us to other business, right? So, Counselor Austin, you brought, maybe you want to introduce your idea of a second larger speed sign to go on Highway 17.
It's, I've been looking into different things on it and, we know the police reports don't, how do you put it? Agree with us. They have nothing to show that we have, bad speeding in Nairn Center, and we requested a lower speed limit in Nairn. And my suggestion is the worst place for speeding in Nairn is Highway 17, that we spend a little extra money with, there's a grant for a speed sign and put the speed sign. My suggestion was going west near Hall Street. That we put a speed sign there. I think it would be of more benefit than anywhere in town. And I was surprised that Belinda showed me before the meeting the record of our speed sign here.
Yeah,
And maybe
yeah, I'll
she
be
can show
happy
us
to
that after.
share that with everyone,
Yeah.
if you just wanna stick around after the meeting. I pulled some
But,
reports.
that was my suggestion, that we look, that we can lower the speed limit or maybe control the speed limit more on the highway. If we can get the permission to put this, it's a process, I know. But it's gonna be the same process when we put it on McIntyre Street, because it's a government highway, it's not our street. And I think there'd be more benefit out there on the highway. It's up to council.
So I agree with you there.
I actually like the one by Councilor Austin's house and mine. I was a little concerned. I seen one at another municipality. And the speed went up to like 75 or 80 before the sign, like ours, when you hit, I don't know,
Yeah, that's a
60 or
control
50 something, that
feature,
it says slow down, slow down, slow down. So that it doesn't make, we know, her worship, she wants to go by the house and see how fast her van will go.
Yeah.
So she can't do 100 to see if her van's really doing 100.
For the record, I don't have a van.
I know.
You
So
can check your speedometer.
that is, that was a concern I actually had after we put the sign up on our street, was people said, oh, now I'm gonna be able to see how fast I'm going, how fast I can get the sign to go. It's been really good. I think there's been, there's times, right? But, and we're gonna see those, I guess,
Quite a
later.
few times.
But the sign there then goes slow down, like when you break 60 kilometers, I think it is, or 55 or
I
something.
think it's-
If you go over 50,
Is that what it switches to
It
slow down?
it starts flashing, and then I think at 55, it starts really flashing.
on,
Yeah.
But it doesn't show you your speed, it
That's
says to
right.
slow down.
And that was our concern too,
That's
that's
good.
why we.
Well, I'm happy with that part of the sign. I have no.
but I think that would be a great benefit on 17, in my
I agree
opinion,
with you.
rather than put another one in town here. Though they're needed everywhere, but I think that's the most.
So CAO Ketchiba, the plan was for us to get a second sign from the grant that was already started. Do you want to tell us what we know about that?
Yeah, I have received confirmation that there is enough money left in the grant that each of the 4 Lacrosse municipalities would receive another sign. There's only enough for the size of what we already
Yeah.
have. So, at our last meeting, I had talked to, the clerk of Espanola and asked what the bigger sign would cost. So I don't know the numbers exactly, but the one we got was approximately $5,500. And then to get the next size up, don't quote me on it, but I believe it was another $3,000. So it's not a huge amount of money. Would that sign that we have, would it be effective on the highway? I think it's a touch too small. When you're got a lot of other different things
Yeah.
to be looking at. I know there is a process that, we have looked into very briefly. And, we can apply for a permit to place one on Highway 17. I don't know what the costs are. I'd have to find that out, but if that's council's decision, I can look further into it.
Do you have time to do it in the next few months?
I could devote a little bit of time in the next few months. I don't believe we'd be getting. I can't remember what time of year we ordered the sign last year. I feel like it was around April-ish, so I think I have a bit of time to do some research and let them know how we want to move forward with that grant.
So are we generally agreed that we would direct our CAO to research the application process to the MTO? Because it doesn't make sense to buy the sign if we
Yeah,
can't get
If they're the same
approval.
one of us, why spend the extra?
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
Yeah,
I may
Um,
not be too happy with this.
If I may, Madam Chair? Madam Chair?
yeah, Counselor Deputy.
Yeah, I, I'd, go ahead and buy the sign, whether we can put it on that highway or not. If we're not fortunate enough to be able to place it on Highway 17, there's, no doubt, another road in Nairn that we could place it on.
Counselor Austin, or no, Counselor McVeigh.
Yeah.
I
I think, Counselor David, I think we're gonna get the other one, we're just looking to go to the bigger sign. If we're gonna do it on the highway and spend the additional dollars. Definitely get the second
All right,
sign.
all right.
It's just, if we can put it on the highway, let's go with a bigger sign.
Yeah.
If we can't put it on the highway, why spend the
Yeah, why
$3,000
spend
or whatever it is,
money?
2,000?
Agreed.
The smaller sign, put it somewhere else.
And
I'm,
I think that's the most benefit, whether we reduce the speed limit or not
Yeah,
on the
but
highway.
we have to have something to tell the OPP that we have an issue, because nobody
Yeah.
seems to think,
Exactly.
nobody thinks we've got an issue. Because they don't write tickets, but they're not here.
Upset
except,
sign will do that.
except where do we see those flashing signs? We see them in residential areas. We haven't, I mean, if they approve it, they approve it.
Well, you see them in 2 or 3 communities on the Manitoulin Island, the mobile one out.
They're on main streets in the cities, in
Yeah.
the towns.
But this is a highway, so do
But
you?
you do see them on Highway 540 going to Chigang, going through.
Okay.
Second-
I've seen them in cities.
Yeah, there's one
On main
on
highways.
on the main highway.
Okay, they'll either approve it
Yeah.
or they won't.
So would the direction be that staff would do further research into the permitting process?
Absolutely.
Because the fee is gonna matter and the likelihood of approval and, you know, if they approve it, but it's $10,000, that's something we wanna talk about.
No, as I said, if we may, as I
Find
said
that out.
before, if we put the sign on this street, we still have to get a permit,
Yes, on McIntyre.
because it's a highway.
Yes, it's just not our street.
I know, like I say, the biggest, the highway, this is an issue too, yes. Everywhere where they speed is an issue.
If I may,
Well-
Madam Mayor,
Absolutely.
I remember, last summer when we had our community, yard sale. I was in front of the old SUV. There was a policewoman that I am out. So I don't know why the OPP are saying we don't have an issue.
I'm sorry, Counselor Day Petit, that wasn't clear. If you could just repeat.
If I
Did you
may,
get?
No, we can't hear you, Guy, we can't
I
hear
broke
you.
up, eh? Yes,
Yeah,
during
Maybe
during
try
last
turning it-
year's. How about now?
Good.
Any better?
yeah.
no,
Okay. During last year's yard sale, I was at the BZB and a policewoman gave out about half a dozen tickets, speeding tickets, within an hour. So I don't understand why the OPP don't realize we have an issue.
I think we'd have to ask them, Counselor Austin.
As I was gonna say, it's not that they're not saying we don't have an issue, is that they don't have records showing enough. I mean, they do radar speed things there once in a while, which isn't enough. If they caught more, then they build it up more, but they haven't. The unfortunate part.
Had a conversation with an OPP officer in front of the busy bee. I stopped to thank him for doing his job on the highway. And he stated to me that a lot of the radars now were set for 30 over because they would spend all day writing tickets if they were under 30. So he said, I don't get many in there because the speed limit's high. Like he said, I wouldn't have time. So, but then they won't drop our speed limits. It doesn't make any sense to me. That's coming right from somebody on the front lines telling me what his issue is. If it was 20 over, he wouldn't have any, he would write every second car.
Yeah.
And he does it at 30, so only writes one every fifth car. But if we lowered the speed limit like it is in McCarroll, it would then assist them, but
Yeah.
they won't do it.
I mean, they try and help us, but they're not.
They haven't
They
said
can't.
no yet,
You know,
but
we'll wait and see.
I mean, yeah. I think, if, the OPP were looking at, let's say the last 7 years, we had COVID in the middle of that, and that highway was quiet for years. It was really quiet. I don't know. But, moved by Counselor McVeigh, seconded by Counselor Austin, whereas council has received the notice of motion from Counselor Austin to discuss the idea of a second larger speed sign to be placed on Highway 17. And be it resolved that council directs staff to do further research into the permitting process of placing a speed radar sign on Highway 17. All in favor? Oh.
In favor,
Can we specify? I had specified in my requisition for westbound traffic.
I don't think we need to decide that. I think at this point, we just need to
Well,
find the permit
Yeah.
or see what the
Yeah, we just think
process,
they'll even allow us to
see
do it.
what the money is. And
Okay.
then, okay, moved by Counselor McVeigh, seconded by Counselor Austin. Whereas council has received the notice of motion from Counselor Austin to discuss the idea of a second larger speed sign to be placed on Highway 17, and be it resolved that council directs staff to do further research into the permitting process of placing a speed radar sign on Highway 17. All in favor?
in favor,
That's carried. Nothing, oh, no, we have, well, no.
I got more.
Yeah, your cold storage room. I have lots of questions, but maybe you just want to start
I-
by explaining.
I just brought that up to open up the discussion that we need more storage here.
Why? What do we need storage
Well,
for?
I don't know if you've been in what you call that recreation storage room.
Yes,
but
I
it's
have.
terrible. Our cloakroom, we don't have because it's a chair storage. We
I
need,
didn't
we
realize
need more storage. I've been in the back room and I've talked to Belinda about it, like that's ridiculous back there. That's not I don't know what you call it. You can see them hoarders on TV.
it's called a
That's what
dust
we got back there. We have to improve somewhere along. Do something to improve our storage.
I spoke
I have
to,
a question, Counselor Austin,
Yes,
through you, Madam Chair.
Sure.
How many square feet are you talking about?
well, I put an original, a thing of 20 by 20, but that was open for discussion because I don't know what we need exactly. But if we don't discuss it, we'll never get anywhere.
All right, thank you.
I didn't understand that that was a cloakroom for coats, is what you're thinking?
That whole room, those two rooms used to be a cloakroom. Now they split it in half and it's a storage room and a chair storage and there's no cloakroom. We got hangers in the main hall. We're beating ourselves to death.
one of the issues I have is that. Like, why are we not have all those files scanned and why are we keeping all
Yeah.
the paper files? Like, what a waste of,
Yeah,
there's a waste of space right there. Those should all be scanned and digitized and be in the.
yeah.
I don't know what.
But
the cloud-
again, what
But-
kind of cost is there involved in that? We got, if we don't look at it, we'll never
Yeah.
know.
Because it's, those cabinets are expensive. You see, what, you need 3 or 4 more?
To keep the records that we have to keep, yes.
Like, I don't know why we wouldn't be digitizing those and scanning them, just because the cost of those cabinets are through the roof. I know digitizing and having an employee do it or having
Yeah.
somebody do it is
Yeah.
expensive, but once it's done and caught up, then it's just
Yeah.
done.
It's done.
Like, there is gonna be a large expense, I would imagine, in doing that. I know we've done it through our office, and we had 4 summer students there all summer doing our 9 offices or 10 offices
Yeah.
here in the north.
We have to do something.
Well, that's a mess.
Yeah.
Not a mess, I don't, that's.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not hearing I'm hearing that you wanna tidy up the back room. But what do we need space for?
Well, if you don't digitize that, then you need space to store the file somewhere. Plus, we need more space here. For, you have a Jew here with 150 people, where do you put your coats? They're all hanging on the floor and everything else, especially in the wintertime. And your storage, recreation storage is a mess. Don't matter what you do, it's just too small.
Well, it's not an easily, now, we also do rent out another closet, don't we, to guides? Or we allow them to use
Yeah,
it?
they have one little closet back there.
For 20 by 20, you're just looking to have a separate building, like 20 by 20?
No, I'd say in addition, added on to this, that you enter from here, have a doorway into it. You know, it's cold storage, as long as it's secure and dry.
So there is also an empty shed just out there, I think.
If you're putting your files in there, I think they need to be secured.
Yeah.
You can't just have a frame building where there's nothing in there I want, but who knows what somebody would go in there and wreck.
Just
Mhm.
correct, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of
And-
personal information. in our
Yeah,
files,
yeah, privacy commissioner would have a field day if somebody cut a hole in the back of a piece of plywood and rolled a file out and took a row of shelf, or, shelf of.
Yeah, CAO,
Yeah,
Pichabah?
yeah, and through you, Chair, I have been seeking out grants in order to pursue updating our computer servers to give us enough space to be able to digitize our records. It's not cheap. I got a quote that was between $90,000 and $100,000. And that didn't include the labor to do it. The scannings, like, of course, you could get summer students or a part-time staff member to work on it, a particular time, a couple days a week or something. But it's not cheap, like none of the solutions are cheap, but as Wayne said, like we're running out of space. And we just don't have the manpower or the computer space to do it with what we currently have. So it is a bit of a concern.
Madam Chair,
Yeah, Counselor Dave Petit?
why don't we, have a resolution that, our CAO can look into, various options and the cost of them, and we can make a decision going forward.
Is everyone fine with that?
That's
That our
why I brought it up.
Our CAO looks at different options. Is this something that you have time for the next month or in a few
Well,
months?
does this have to be done in the next?
It would-
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
It's not gonna change.
I don't think I can tackle it in at least till our audits complete.
Okay,
and-
and that's March 15th.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna head into budget, hopefully. At the same time, so, in the next few months.
The next 6 months aren't gonna make or break. It's just getting the ball rolling,
That's,
I think is what
Exactly.
Council.
yeah,
Yeah,
To research options for additional storage or space.
Sorry.
I thought Councillor Austin wanted to build a Butler building and start renting out space
Yeah.
to store cars.
yeah.
When I read it, I was like, what is he doing?
Store storage.
Or
We can
record
do
storage.
Pretty hard to read it, Mike.
Sorry, or record storage, for record storage or space.
You may wanna clarify that Are we just talking about record storage or
Every,
storage in general?
Record
well,
storage,
you
yeah.
cleaned that up. Yeah, being able to get that scan, couldn't you not put stuff in from there into there?
Rec is a mess because you have a lot of things that you only need seasonally, right? So I can put my Christmas bins in a pile. I'm getting them out at Christmas time, right? I don't need access to them all the time. It doesn't, you know what would actually help that rec cupboard is shelves. To keep things on shelves, so you take them off and on. But I mean, we don't have a million events. I'm fine with it. I have just gone through it with someone else last year and we got rid of things. We tried to organize it, but every event you have, and sometimes we have teenagers that help us clean up. It can get kind of chaotic in there. You know, and you're tired, you've been at the event for 4 hours and people are just, you know, helping.
If I could go back here with open rod, that was the clerk's office. And the record storage and everything, in that room there, that's the council chambers now. Well,
Mhm.
imagine trying, like, they've expanded, but we've still got to expand, we gotta do something.
Okay, so it says, that council directs CAO Ketchipa to research options for storage and space. That seems a little big for the community center.
Digitalizing whatever the
Yeah,
records.
okay.
Digitizing.
It don't matter what we do, it's gonna cost. There's no,
Well, you put an addition on or whatever, you're gonna spend lots of money.
Oh,
As
yeah.
soon as you touch the building, you're gonna find out there's a whole bunch of things here
oh yeah,
that need to be fixed before they can,
Be
Yeah,
quiet, be quiet.
yeah, open Pandora's box, you might be sorry.
yeah, moved by Counselor McVeigh, seconded by Counselor Austin, whereas council has received the notice of motion from Counselor Austin to discuss the idea of a cold storage add-on to the community center, and be it resolved that council directs CAO Ketchipa to research options for storage or space, digitizing records at the community center. All in favor?
In favor.
That's carried. Moved by Counselor McVeigh, seconded by Counselor Austin, be it resolved that being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council, the corporation of the township of Nairn and Hyman be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed in open council, and its number shall be 2024-3. All in favor?
In favor.
Carried. Moved by Counselor Austin, second by Counselor McVeigh, be it resolved that the meeting of January 15th do now adjourn at 8:29 PM. To meet again on the 12th day of February 2024, or at the call of the mayor. All in favor?
In favor.
Carried.